wherever you've got cell coverage, you've got, you've got radio coverage. So it's really, that would have been Jerry's answer. Somebody suggested that in the Zoom room. I guess Scott said something when Jerry was talking about Lake Okeechobee there in Florida. I don't know if I guess he doesn't have cell coverage, so I don't imagine there is no cell coverage, no radio coverage, so probably no cell coverage either, but it might, if there's cell coverage, that would have been an answer for him as well. So thanks, Alan, and Happy New Year to you. Ocala, Florida, Mark, N4GP. Good evening, Mark. This is Dick, WB2JPQ. Yeah, we got your 40 miles, Mark, but we're not going to get enough intelligence out of your question. Unfortunately, I don't know if you can, what you can do better, but you're just not going to be readable good enough to ask a question. I'm sorry. Well, Mark, you one and done, Mark, and hopefully can get a little bit better antenna or something up. I know 40 miles is a long way from the Gainesville repeater. Who else has got a question, an amateur radio related question? I had no idea. This is, my gosh, this is an hour and a half already. I had no idea we'd have this many questions on New Year's Eve. Everybody stayed home. Maybe they stayed, I don't know. But stay with a question. Radio related questions, call signs twice. Well, I guess that was the end of the questions. I think I'm going to send it over to Scott. Am I not correct? I think I'm going to send it to Scott, W2BLT. Oh, we got Kevin. What am I talking about here? Thank you, Vicky. V3BZ. This is not my first rodeo, but you would think so. Kevin, my apologies here. I almost blew you off tonight, buddy. Vicky in the ball, put V3BZ in the logger. I would have moved on to Scott here tonight. What do you got for us in the swap and shop, and Happy New Year?
Hey, good evening, Dick, and everyone. Well, you could have skipped over me because I don't have anything tonight. Yeah, so that's it. But hey, if you have something that you want to list or you're looking for, just go to eastcoastreflector.com and go to Contact ECR and SwapNet submissions. I guess I'll answer the question. I don't know about 2025 for amateur radio. Maybe some parks on the air. I've been saying that for a while, but got a few friends up here that are really into it. We're looking to make a portable antenna that I can attach to my truck, and I just got to bring a radio, and maybe I'll do some of that this year, or more of it. I've done a couple activations, but maybe we'll get more involved with that. Other than that, I'd like to wish you and all the rest of the facilitators, and of course the users, a Happy New Year, and all the best in 2025. Back to you, Dick, VE3BZ.
Well, thank you, Kevin, and thank you for all you do for the ECR. Like I've said many times and said earlier tonight, there's so much that goes on behind it. You're certainly one of them. I really appreciate all that you do. Now, I guess I'm going to turn it over to Scott, the BLT. He's going to take some check-ins. I'm not sure whether Roger's going to tonight or not. We got several people here. We're going to go down through the list, and we'll make a decision here whether we'll take a little break and come back. But stick with us. Come in the Zoom room. Watch us. Say hello. We'll definitely be back up by, I don't know, 10 o'clock or something like things go. Vicky's logging. She's going to need a little break here tonight sooner. So, over to you, Scott. I'll be back in a little while. And you take it from there. W2BLT. Catch you a bit later. This is WB2JPQ.
Alrighty, thank you, Dick, and good evening, everybody. This is Scott, W2BLT, in beautiful 40-degree Buffalo, New York. Happy New Year to everyone. I'm going to take the check-ins. I'll take probably the first 5 call districts, and then we'll see what happens after that. We go by the number designator in your call sign. This week we start with the 3s, going right up to the 2s, and then we'll take late and missed, maybe. But at any rate, question of the evening is, what are your 2025 ham plans? Let's take 3s. If you have a 3 in your call sign, please come now.
Whiskey Bravo 3, Echo Golf Delta, WB3EGD.
Kilo Charlie 3, Foxtrot Golf Delta. Kilo Charlie 3, Foxtrot Golf Delta.
Well, alrighty. Recognizing KC3FGD Ray and WB3EGD Richard. Good evening, Richard. How's things in Hazelton, Pennsylvania?
Well, good evening, Scott, and the rest of the TechNet. Things are rainy in Hazelton tonight, but that's a good thing because it's not snowing and it's not icing, so we'll take it, especially on New Year's Eve. So thank you for all that you do throughout the year. I can answer your question as to what I plan to do in 2025 for ham radio. I'm pretty sure I'm going to apply to the ARRL for DXCC. It's been hanging over my head. I keep working countries and never really making my application. So that might be one of the first things I do. And then if I get really ambitious, I might put something on my QRZ page besides watch this space. So that's a slow start. Hopefully it'll go onwards and upwards from there. Happy New Year to you and to all, Scott. W2BLT, this is B3EGD.
Well, Happy New Year to you, Richard, and thanks for joining this evening. Let's go to KC3FGD, one of my morning brew buddies, Scrapple area of Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania. Good evening, Ray.
Hey, good evening, Scott, and everyone on this wonderful net. Yeah, talking about Scrapple, I think I'll grab some tomorrow morning. Hey, I don't really have many plans for myself ever. I do have a ham right next door to me here that got his license about the same time I did, 10 or 12 years ago. Never has spoken on the radio. So another ham and I are going to work on him, and he's purchasing a radio, and I've got to have the details of getting an antenna set up for him. So we're kind of restricted here in the village, but I'm going to sneak a J-pole out behind his cottage. Hopefully no one sees me doing it, and hopefully get him on the air and get him to do a little speaking on the radio. So that's my challenge here, probably for the next 6 months going on. So hey, everyone, have a wonderful New Year's out there, and one of these days, I've got to get you down here and have you try some of this wonderful Scrapple. Have a wonderful New Year. Back to you, Scott.
Oh, yeah. One of these days. I appreciate it, Ray. I'll have to stop and pick up KB3S&M, and we'll have to make the drive over there for some breakfast of some sort. You have a good New Year, Ray, and thanks for joining us. And that new ham, by golly, tell him to get up early and join us on the morning brew. Start his day the proper way. Alrighty, let's go to the fours. If you have a 4 in your call sign, please come now.
Quebec 4, Romeo Whiskey November. Kilo Quebec 4, Romeo Whiskey November, Huntsville, Alabama.
W4 PPX. W4 PPX.
Kilo Quebec 4, Yankee Romeo Mike. This is Greg in Fort Myers, Florida.
This is K24RWN, and I'm in Huntsville, Alabama, and I just want to wish everybody Happy New Year and great 2025.
This is KQ4YFU, Kilo Quebec 4, Yankee Foxtrot uniform. This is Dave in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Alrighty, let me pick it up there for just a moment. Let me recognize who we have here. I think there was one other one in there, maybe. I got KQ4YFU, Dave, KQ4GLY, Chris, KQ4YRM, Greg, W4PPX, and KQ4RWN, Kevin. Who did I miss in there? Let's call for the 4s.
UPK, Chris.
November 4, Romeo Hotel Echo. November 4, Romeo Hotel Echo. W4FWN, W Foxtrot Whiskey November. Alrighty, recognizing W4, FWN, Dan, and AG, Roger, KQ4UPK, Chris. Let's go to the top of this list. Question of the evening, folks. What are your 2025 ham plans? Let's go to KQ4, RWN, Kevin in Huntsville, Alabama. Good evening, Kevin.
For you guys and everybody out there, this is KQ4RWN in Huntsville, Alabama. And I just wanted to say Happy New Year and wish everybody a great 2025. And I'm in Alabama, and the weather's pretty nice right now. Not too cold, and nothing really going on. Just waiting for the ball to drop on TV.
All right, thanks for joining us tonight, Kevin, and you have a good evening. W4PPX, Don in Hollywood, Florida. Good evening, Don. W4PPX, are you still with me? Now we'll come back to Don. How about KQ4YRM, Greg in Fort Myers, Florida? Looks like you're new to the system. Welcome. Thank you very much. Only used Echo Link once or twice before. Relatively new to the hobby in general. November got my license, but this is fun. Happy New Year to everyone, and good to be here. Another round of fun. Exactly. And at my age, I say, one more. Everything's good. Thanks for joining us, and don't be a stranger. We're here every Tuesday night, 8 p.m., answer questions and take general check-ins. KQ4 GLY, Chris, via the text line in Paris, Florida. Good evening.
Here's Scott and everyone on the net. My goal for 2025 is to get more proficient on ham radio. And back to you.
A never-ending process. Thanks for joining us, Chris, and you have a happy new year. KQ4 YFU Dave, Farragut, Tennessee. Looks like you're new to the system as well. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Yes, relatively new. Happy New Year, everyone. As far as my plans for 2025, this Christmas I was lucky enough to pick up a Yaesu 991A radio, and so this year I hope to figure out how to use that thing and start playing with high frequency a little bit. KQ4 YFU.
Thank you, Dave. You have yourself a great evening, and don't be a stranger. KQ4 UPK, Chris in Fort Pierce, Florida. Good evening.
Happy New Year to all you guys. I really appreciate you guys all on the East Coast Reflector. I plan in 2025 to upgrade to my general, and I have quite a list, as they know, that Santa Claus, well, let's just say he will bless me with, and I plan on building something that in my heart. It's quite a system, and so yeah, that's Happy New Year, everybody. I'm getting a little choked up, so I wish a prosperous and happy and healthy New Year to everybody.
Well, thanks for joining us. I hope what you want to do works out. We don't have real big plans for 2025 other than locating a missing microphone that I haven't been able to find for probably, that was my wish last year. Have a good evening. Next up, Roger, N4RAG, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Good evening, Roger.
W2BLT, good evening, Scott. November 4, Romeo Hotel Echo. My goal would be to try to improve my ability to discern CW fifths. In the Everglades, use VHF channel 16, 68, 72 to communicate. This is my first New Year Eve without my mother. She would say a toast at midnight. She would say, "Champagne for my friends, pain for my sham friends." Healthy New Year to all. November 4, Roger Ham Enthusiast. Return to net.
Thank you, Roger. And we used to have a saying 2 years ago, was it whiskey for my men and beer for my horses. Have a great evening, Roger. Thanks for joining us as much as you do. We appreciate it. Sir Roger. W4 FWN, Dan in Sanford, Florida.
Well, good evening, Scott, and everyone else on the net. This is W4FWN. Here I'm going to try to troubleshoot a pesky microphone problem that I have on a Linko mobile unit. It's driven me crazy, and I hope to maybe tackle that and find a solution to that and just learn something new about what equipment I have and become more proficient. Back to net control. This is W4FWN. WN.
Alrighty, Dan. You have a great evening and a happy new year. And last on this list, KO4FRR, one of our system facilitators here on the East Coast Reflector, and my Swiss Chalet buddy. Good evening, Joe.
Oh, there we go. Good evening, Scott and Ned. Hopefully everybody's going to have a good New Year's. And yes, I can't wait for Swiss Chalet lunch with you again in June. Other than that, to answer the question, probably get my back into order and start getting into the CW classes on Long Island CW Club. It was a great experience, and hopefully I'll be able to talk with Scott on CW and Matt too. Talk to you later, KO4FR.
Hey, thank you, Joe. Appreciate you joining us. And yeah, I got to let Roger know I almost fell down that hole again, following somebody out of band, but I caught it before I got there. Have a great night, Joe. Alrighty, folks, that's it for the 4s. This is W2BLT. Let's move on to the 5s. If you have a 5 in your call sign, please come now.
K5MOW checking in. Roger from Alvin, Texas. K5MOW. CYM, KI5, CYM.
Well, it's KI5 CYM, Ray, KI5 PMI, Bill and Hobbs via the text line, and K5 MOW. Anyone else with a 5 in your call sign, please come now. With nothing heard, let's go to K5 MOW, Roger out in Alvin, Texas. What are your plans for 2025, Roger?
Yeah, well, good evening to everyone on the net. This is Roger, K5MOW, and I recently retired, so I'm just going to say probably enjoy the first year of retirement. I retired in August, and getting back into amateur radio, I kind of got so busy with work, I kind of haven't done amateur radio in a couple of years, so I got the radios out, and I plan on doing more of that. Back to net control. Thanks for doing the net. K5MOW.
Alrighty, thank you, Roger. Appreciate you joining us. Let's go to KI5 PMI, Bill in Hobbs, New Mexico. Good evening, Bill.
Good evening, Scott, and everybody on Bignet. My biggest goal for 2025 is to get my HF antenna up. Just get the tower up, get the HF antenna built, and get that going. Do that, I will have got it made. So, hope everybody has a good night and a happy new year. KI5 PMI. Thanks, Bill.
Alrighty, thank you, Bill. Maybe we'll talk to you Thursday morning. Everybody that is listening, there is no morning brew tomorrow. So if you go there and you don't hear us, it's not a mistake. Last on this list, KI5 CYM Ray out in Seminole, Texas. Good evening, Ray.
Good evening, Scott, to everybody. Plans for next year, which would be not too long from now, is just keep working them distant DX stations. Other than that, just staying out of trouble. Back to net control, KI5 CYM.
thanks for joining us, Ray, and Happy New Year to you and to the puppy. Well, I guess he's not a puppy anymore. Let's move on to the sixes. Via the text, we have K6AAN and KC6UFM. Charles, who else do we have with a 6 in your call sign? Please come now.
Well, this is Kilo Mike 6, Mike Whiskey Golf. Kilo Mike 6, Mike Whiskey Golf.
Alrighty, recognizing Rand, KM6MWG. Let's go to the top of this short list. K6AAN, Mike in Valley Springs, California. Good evening, and what are your 2025 ham plans?
Good evening, Scott and the net. I definitely have some. First of all, we've got a winter field day planned for January 25th with our club down here in Lodi, California. Pretty ambitious setup plans. They're going to run 5 stations out there all day long and then clean everything up and go down to the Chinese buffet restaurant for dinner. So that's going to be the first thing. And after that, I'm going to be getting out a lot more portable HF operation than I've done here in the past. I have all the gear for it, KC 991A and a Wolf River coil antenna. So I'm set up good. I just have to get out and do it. That's on me, so I have to put a little more effort, but the rewards are definitely there too. It's a lot of fun. So with that, we'll wish everybody Happy New Year, especially you, Scott. We appreciate all you do out there. I know it's a lot of work. A lot of people have no clue how much stuff goes on behind the scenes to keep up a big net like this, so we sure appreciate it. 73, everybody. This is K6AAN. Back to you, Scott.
1:0.0.0.33. Good evening. The time is 9 p.m.
Oh, thank you, Huntsville. Thanks for joining us, Mike. We appreciate it. And yeah, it is a lot of work. I go through a coffee pot every year. K6UFM. Charles, in Guatai, California. Good evening, Charles.
Good evening, Scott, and everyone on the TechNet. Thank you to you and Dick and Vicky and whoever might be picking up here after you're done, Scott, for running the net tonight. Thanks to all of the facilitators and those associated with the ECR for everything they do, and more importantly, thanks to everyone in the ECR family for doing what you do, which keeps everybody else in a job. So as far as the question is concerned, I'm going to have to keep it simple, Scott, for my ham plans. I just want to finish 2 of the many projects I have going before I add another project to the list that needs to be done. So very straightforward and simple. But back to you, 7-3. Happy New Year to everyone. Take care. KC6 UFM, back to net control.
Thank you, Charles. Appreciate you joining us and all you do for our system, and always interesting reading the antenna farm articles. Sometimes it takes me 2 settings, but I read them. Have a good evening. And last on this list, KM6MWG, Randy in Salinas, California. Good evening.
Well, thank you. I don't have any particular new plans for ham radio, but just to continue with the hobby, I do have some other issues that are more urgent that I need to deal with. So mostly just continuing and not quitting. Anyway, back to you, KM6MWG.
Alrighty, thank you, Randy. You have a good New Year, and thanks for joining us. Alrighty, folks, let's go to the sevens. If you have a 7 in your call sign, please come now.
Kilo India 7, India Hotel Uniform, Dave, Adam Marie, South. Not linked.
Well, I did get KI7IHU, Dave in Murray, Utah. Who else do we have with a 7? Please come sign twice. Oh, nothing heard. The floor is yours, Dave. Good evening, and what are your 2025 ham plans?
Yeah, thank you, Scott, and good evening to everyone. Thank you for having me on the net. I was thinking about lately, it's like go through my Go kit and update it. And I also need to put a radio on the Go kit as well because it's more like...
Alrighty, thank you for joining us, Dave. We appreciate it, and you have a great evening. Let's move on to the 8s. If you have an 8 in your call sign, please come now. We have KA8BYU via the text. Who else do we have?
Hello, Charlie 8, Quebec Delta, Quebec.
Whiskey Bravo 8, Oscar Delta, WB8 ODF. K8BAC, K8BAC. Alrighty, recognizing KE8DGF, Hercules. We have K8BACL, B8ODF, Dave, KC8QDQ, Jeremy. Let's go to KA8BYU, Roy in Blaisdell. Good evening, Roy, and what are your 2025 ham plans?
Good evening, everybody on the East Coast Reflector TechNet, KA8BYU. Well, not really anything other than what I'm doing, but there's one of the guys here in the local area. He lives here in Blaisdell as well. He's a GMRS operator who just got his ham study book, and I've been helping him for about the last month or so and getting to know more about radio in general and helping him out that way. So he's picking my brain a lot for information, and he just cracked the book, which he got as a Christmas present the other day. So I'm trying to Elmer him as best I can. Back to you.
There you go, Roy. You have a great night and a great New Year. KC8QDQ, Jeremy in Gloucester, Ohio. Good evening.
Good evening. Yep, this is Jeremy here in Ohio, and see my plans for 2025. Hammer is going to be to purchase my JK Falcon antenna and get it all up and running, and maybe build another amplifier this year. I don't know. Anyway, Happy New Year to all. This is Kilo Charlie 8, Quebec Delta, Quebec.
All right. Happy New Year, Jeremy, and thanks for joining us this evening. This is W2BLT. Let's go to WB8ODF. Dave in Ypsilanti, Michigan. Good evening, Dave.
Well, good evening, Scott, and everybody on the TechNet. This is Dave, WB8ODF in Ypsilanti, Michigan. I'm about 20-25 miles due west of Detroit. And the answer for today's question is going to be, in 2025, I don't want to become a silent key, but that's what we're looking for tonight. So I'm going to say without a doubt, I would like to come up with some kind of 20-meter antenna to put on my balcony. I'm on the 6th floor of a high-rise, and it's I'm kind of out of space for 20 meters, but I'm going to figure something out this year so I can get back on HF. Hey, Scott, thanks for doing it, and Happy New Year to you and your family and everyone on the TechNet. This is Dave, WB8ODF.
Well, thanks for joining us, Dave. Always a pleasure. You have a great New Year. Next up, one of my morning brew buddies, K8BAC, Al up in Britain, Michigan. Good evening, Al.
Well, good evening, Scott. Everybody on the TechNet. One of the rare occasions where I'm actually off on a Tuesday, so I can check in on the TechNet. As far as answering the question, I have a couple of different things that I'm going to be hopefully doing in 2025. I got a tower out in the barn that I got to finish painting and getting ready and putting up to replace the one that's just about ready to rust through and fall down out inside of my house. I'm really hoping and planning, and we're already making plans to join the meet and greet and shake hands with a lot of you people this summer. So if you're interested, wait for the go and sign up for the meet and greet. We're gonna have a good time this year. And other than that, hopefully I'll spend some money and buy an amplifier so the Saturday morning 40 meter net I can get out there a little better. Other than that, man, everybody have a great New Year's and be safe. And if you're on this net, you're probably home chilling out like I am, which is a good thing. So back to you, Scott, K8BAC.
Thank you, Al. Yeah, go get that amp. Make me look bad. That's okay. Have a good New Year, Al. KE8DGF, Hercules in Lowell, Michigan. Good evening.
Good evening, Scott, and Happy New Year to everybody on the net tonight. To answer your question about my plans for next year, I have a tower that I want to be putting up come spring, and there's a couple other things. I've been working with the youth group here in the Lowell area. There's a bunch of kids that are getting their amateur radio license, and I've been doing some SSTV image demonstrations from them for them from the ISS. So they're really interested in that. And what I want to get my extra license this year. I'm just going to study and get it done. And so last thing I want to say is Happy New Year again to everybody on the net. Thank you for taking the call.
Well, Happy New Year, and thanks for joining us. Alrighty, that's going to do it for the 8s. Let's go to the 9s. Do we have any 9s out there tonight? Please come with your call sign now.
This is Ken from Ontario.
Well, all I got out of that was nothing there. Station coming into the Detroit repeater. Could you key up, just wait a couple seconds and give me your call sign again, please?
This is Ken.
sorry, you're just not making it. I can't make out anything. And look, the 9 in your call sign. Last call for the 9. How about zeros? Anybody with a 0 in your call sign, please come now.
KE0GKF, KE0GKF.
This is Tim in Ontario.
Okay, I got Timmins, Ontario. Could you key up, wait a couple seconds, and give me that call sign twice, please?
Scott, Tim in Ontario. Tim in Ontario.
Well, I can't put in Tim. I know who you are. I need your call sign, Tim.
Sorry, Scott, I'm new at this. I just got my new antenna trying it out.
Well, I can hear you, Tim. Let's put it that way. Any other zeros, please come now.
Scott.
Oh, nothing heard. Let's go to KE0GKF, one of our morning brew baristas out in Omaha, Nebraska. Good evening, Jeff, and what are your 2025 ham plans?
Well, good evening, Scott and Vicky on the log and everyone in the Zoom room tonight. My options are limited. Living in a top floor apartment, can't put up a bunch of antennas and et cetera, But I'm gonna have to say, just be there more for the ECR. My time, like I've been enjoying so far. It's been wonderful to be a net controller like you, Scott, and just to be available for the East Coast Reflector and donate a little bit more of my time when I can. I want to say Happy New Year to everyone on the net tonight, and it's such a great thing, the East Coast Reflector, and it's larger than life, it's bigger than all of us, and it takes not just one person, it takes everyone as a team to do all this, and I'm glad to be part of it, and everybody have a Happy New Year. This is KE0GKF, back to you, Scott.
Thanks, Jeff, and you have a great New Year. Let's go to the ones. Do we have any ones in the house? Please come now, ones. N1 CBM, N1 CBM.
November Juliet 1 Sierra, NJ1S, Eric in Shelburne, Vermont. Charlie 1 India Foxtrot Kilo, KC1 IFK mobile.
Kilo 1 November Romeo Quebec, Bruce in Meriden, Connecticut.
Alrighty, I'll pick it up here. Recognizing N1 CBM Carlos, NJ1S Eric, KCIFK Stewart, and that last one, the NRQ. Could you come back again? Was that KC1?
Yes, it was. KC1 NRQ. Kilo Charlie 1 November Romeo Quebec.
Righty, we got you, Bruce. Let's go to the top of this list. This is W2BLT. Let's go to N1CBM, Carlos in Hollywood, Florida. What are your 2025 ham plans?
Hello, Scott. Nice to hear you. Vicky, once again, and the rest of the crew and everybody participating on the net. As I mentioned earlier, while I was on the Q&A section of the TechNet, just carry on, keep doing what I'm doing, and maybe participating a little bit more. And while the job keeps me from doing it, I'll try to do it via DV switch or Echo Link. But yeah, it's just like I'm having a lot of fun. I'll try to get my kids to get their technician license. Let's see how that goes. And yep, love what you guys do. I commend you guys for keeping this ECR up and running. I know there's a lot of work behind close other than what we see up here on the air. And by the way, I would like to commend Santa on that reference he made for the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy Babelfish last week. That was priceless. Quick thinking. Thank you, Santa. So with that said, Scott, I'll send it back to you in 1CBM. Happy New Year.
Appreciate you joining us. Next up, NJ1S, Eric in Shelburne, Vermont. Good evening, Eric.
Yeah, good evening, Scott, and everyone else on the net. This is NJ1S at Shelburne, Vermont. Greetings to everyone on the net. I've got so many plans, it's not funny, but more particularly are finishing the HF beam, as well as the VHF, UHF, and the satellite antenna, and then I've been getting into the X-band. That's, for those that don't know what the X-band is, that's the 10 gigahertz band. So I'm trying to work my way in that direction. Have a great New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, everyone. Stay safe. Back to net control. And greetings to Stu as well. 7-3 everyone. And thanks for checking me in. Back to net.
All right, thank you, Eric. Appreciate you joining us. Have a great New Year. KC1 IFK, Stuart, Milton, Vermont. Good evening, Stuart. What are your 2025 ham plans?
Scott, shout out to my friend Eric there down in Shelburne. Haven't been a while, but together. My 2025 plans are I'm going to get my extra this year. I sat for it once and didn't pass, and now I have to buy a whole new book because the questions change in July. So getting my extra, and I made a deal with myself on my birthday back in October that I was going to turn a radio on every single day for the entire year. So I've been successful so far, and I'm going to keep doing that. Thanks for doing the net. Appreciate it. I just got out of work, and I was happy to hear that the net was going on. So thanks for running it. And Happy New Year's, everyone. And hope 2025 brings you everything you're hoping for. KC1 IFK, back to net control.
Thanks for joining us, Stuart. Have a great evening. Last on this list, KC1 NRQ, Bruce in Meriden, Connecticut. Good evening.
KC1 NRQ, good evening, Scott. Good evening, fellow ham operators. Happy New Year. Enjoy yourself. Plans this year? Get the General in the next month or two and maybe put up a little longer wire. But maybe we'll do a little bit more. And thanks, Scott, for running the net, doing a great job. We'll say 73 and back out.
Alrighty, Bruce, have a great evening, and thanks for joining us. Okay, we're going to To the twos and via the text line, we have W2RBC, KD2JPP, W2AJR, VK2DY, and AD2IZ. Who else do we have with a 2 in your call sign? Please come now.
K2EAG, K2EAG.
K2UUS.